Behind me is the Century Building on State Street. This, along with the Consumers Building just a few yards away from it, were once among the many historic buildings that made State Street so memorable. I'm here at the Belmont Harbor Dog Beach on the city's north side, where many residents are concerned about the shoreline, including the damage from crashing waves and storms. The leaked draft of the Supreme Court's decision caused many to start worrying about their future access to abortion. The court is expected to release their final decision late next month. For more than 20 years, thousands of DePaul students, staff, faculty, and alumni have gathered on this day of service. Due to COVID-19, this is the first in-person Vincentian Service Day in 2 years. I'm here on West Devon Avenue where the incident took place that weekend. Now, while the vandalism has since been covered up, the emotional aftermath of the incident cannot be erased quite as easily. Shock waves across the nation after a leaked draft opinion reveals a majority of Supreme Court justices are ready to overturn Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion. Outside the Federal Plaza in Chicago, hundreds of pro-choice protesters and some anti-abortion demonstrators rallied in the streets. Strong opinions were voiced on both sides of the issue. Chicago for Abortion Rights and other groups are calling for Roe v. Wade to be codified into law, so abortion will remain legal. Tara Brown from the Socialist Alternative Organization was among those who fear that Roe will be overturned.
Yeah, I'm out here right now because I think it's atrocious to see that the Supreme Court has, plans to vote against defending Roe, against abortion rights.
The leaked draft of the Supreme Court's decision caused many to start worrying about their future access to abortion. The court is expected to release their final decision late next month. As hundreds of pro-choice protesters took to the streets, a counter-protest of pro-life demonstrators occurred nearby. One of these demonstrators was Carlos Montiel, who's against abortion mainly for religious reasons.
We're even the foundations of the world, so the reason why we're here is because God, he sees the babies as living beings, that they're alive, because he's forming them already. He knows already everything that is going to happen in their lives.
As these two groups separately demonstrated, tensions ran high. Many pro-choice and pro-life protesters began arguing and verbally confronting one another.
Your mother! Aren't you glad your mother chose me for you?
It's not certain if the final Supreme Court ruling will be the same as the draft opinion. Legal observers emphasize that it could change. In the meantime, some people are taking to the streets. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Emily Reilly. If you choose to go out anytime soon, don't forget that COVID vaccine card. Chicago's new vaccine mandate requires customers to show proof of vaccination before entering businesses, such as gyms, bars, and restaurants. Madeline Sandoval, a junior at DePaul, shares her thoughts on the mandate.
Yeah, as someone who is turning 21 in the next month, it is good to see that if I'm going to go out, I'll feel a little bit more at peace of mind, knowing that wherever I go, I'm going to have to show my vaccine card and know that at least I'm surrounded by people that are the same.
Business owners all around Chicago are adjusting to this new mandate. Some see the vaccine requirement as a hurdle for their business, that it might cause them to lose some customers, while others see it as a positive change, with more people coming in because they feel safer. Greg Gibbs, the owner of Chicago Bagel Authority, has made many adjustments to his shop over the course of the pandemic.
Lakeview and Lincoln Park are at the very top of vaccination rates, and most of our clientele lives in those neighborhoods. So we're going to be checking a whole bunch of people who are already vaccinated.
Other business owners and customers aren't happy about the vaccine mandate. In fact, a protest against mask and vaccine mandates was held in Skokie earlier this month. Phil Andrews, a professor at DePaul's Driehaus School of Business, has some advice for Chicago businesses in the midst of the new mandate.
We're asking for more of interaction that people feel differently about. Some folks are proud to present their vaccination cards. Other folks are reticent to, and I think it's going to be incumbent on restaurants to think through what that interaction looks like.
Chicagoans continue to disagree on whether the mandate is a drawback or instead a reassuring safety precaution. Whatever the case, if you visit your local cafe or gym, make sure you're aware of the rules. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Emily Reilly. As war ravages through Ukraine, people all over the world are trying to reach out to Ukrainian refugees to help them through this dark time. The DePaul community is part of this effort. The university kicked off a program that allows Ukrainian students to continue their education at DePaul through online courses, partnering primarily with Ukrainian Catholic University in Lviv, Western Ukraine. Gian Mario Bassana, the Associate Provost for Global Engagement and Online Learning at DePaul, explains how the program began with Ukrainian Catholic University.
They're operating at a reduced capacity, but they're also very determined to continue to offer education to their students, who they see as the future of the country once the reconstruction will start.
Dr. Clara Orban is a French and Italian professor at DePaul who is also participating in the program. Her Intro to Italian course has become a lifeline for 2 of her 6 Ukrainian students who are currently displaced in Italy. The Ukrainian students Zoom into her class, while the DePaul students here in Chicago are in person in the classroom. They engage in Italian language learning activities with each other.
So I have 6 students right now in Italian 101, and that may be one of the largest contingents of Ukrainian students in any of the classes at DePaul. This is the total beginning Italian. So when, with the other students, I explained to them that we have some special students in the class and they're from Ukraine. So we learned how to say welcome, and the entire class said welcome to the students in Ukraine. They all managed to log on through D2L, and because I had put the Zoom link in D2L, and so that so far it's been seamless, in their participation in the class.
Marta Hajduchuk is among the program's Ukrainian Catholic University students enrolled at DePaul University. Many of her professors at Ukrainian Catholic University have left to fight on the front lines.
Because that's people that I know that are super smart, super educated, and they are super highly intelligent in their field.
As the war in Ukraine continues to provoke fear, uncertainty, and tragedy, the virtual classroom is a safe space. It's a positive learning environment that allows Ukrainian students to experience a bit of normalcy during a traumatic and frightening time. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Emily Reilly. It was a clear instance of a textbook hate crime. Jewish businesses and synagogues in Chicago's West Rogers Park neighborhood on the north side were targeted in a vandalism incident on the night of Sunday, January 30th. Swastikas were painted on buildings of Jewish-owned businesses and synagogues. Windows were broken, and people in the area were verbally assaulted. The alleged perpetrator, Shahid Hussein, age 39, was charged with 4 felony hate crime charges, 2 felony counts of defacement, and 2 felony counts of criminal damage involving school property. The hate crime has left the community shaken, and the attacks hit close to home for Stephen Resnikoff, a DePaul Law School professor and director of the University Center for Jewish Law and Judaic Studies.
Well, I actually live in West Rogers Park. And a couple blocks from Devon and a few blocks from some of the stores and synagogues that were vandalized. So it's very, very close. And I shop at those stores, and I know about the synagogue. And so it felt that it's attack on my community, in my neighborhood.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise in the U.S., according to researchers. A recent report from the American Jewish Committee found that 1 in 4 American Jews say they've been targets of anti-Semitism in the last 12 months. Many members of the community and business owners in West Rogers Park have been impacted by this incident, like the owner of Tel Aviv Kosher Bakery.
Out of the blue, out of no place, somebody comes and just smashes a window, puts up swastikas on buildings. It's terrible.
I'm here on West Devon Avenue where the incident took place that weekend. Now, while the vandalism has since been covered up, the emotional aftermath of the incident cannot be erased quite as easily. Levi Nodik is a rabbi and director at the Free Synagogue on Devon Avenue, a target of the vandalism. While the incident was occurring, Rabbi Nodik was packing food at the synagogue, many of the meals going to Holocaust survivors, elderly, and vulnerable members in the community.
But really, the feeling is we have to do more goodness. We have to bring more love to the world. We have to combat this darkness with light. And that's really what it's about. And that's whatever, it's been 10 days now. It's been about trying to increase the amount of good that we do and helping more people and caring and just being there for the vulnerable and the needy and the hungry, because that's how you make a difference.
Police are giving heightened attention to places of worship after this incident. Despite this anti-Semitic attack, members of the community say they refuse to live in fear of bigotry. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Emily Reilly. It's a DePaul tradition that emphasizes the Vincentian mission, to give back. Bright and early, Vincentian Service Day brings hundreds of students, faculty, and alumni together for a day spent serving the community. Among the many service sites this year were the Seton Soup Kitchen, New Moms Nonprofit, the Senior Home for the Elderly, and many more. Katie Sullivan is the program coordinator for Vincentian Service Day.
We only go to sites that are what, like we don't say to a site like, let us come and do this work. We ask if they would like to have volunteers, and then we work with them and we ask what they need instead of going in and saying this is what we need.
For more than 20 years, thousands of DePaul students, staff, faculty, and alumni have gathered on this day of service. Due to COVID-19, this is the first in-person Vincentian Service Day in 2 years. The event kicked off at the Sullivan Athletic Center, where DePaul students and faculty spoke to the crowd of volunteers. Among the speakers was DePaul President A. Gabriel Esteban.
I want to thank everyone who's here with us for your patience and your determination to uphold our Catholic Vincentian mission. This has been a great tradition for our institution.
The student, faculty, and alumni volunteers then broke off into groups to fan out throughout the city and begin volunteering at their service sites. Sadie Fisher is a senior at DePaul who helped organize the event.
Yeah, it's just really nice to, have the DePaul community kind of come together to do service, because the Vincentian mission is such an integral part of DePaul, so kind of being able to really put it into action today and be together and go out and do service, with different community organizations and in the community is just a really cool day.
Volunteers helped out at the Seton Soup Kitchen on DePaul's Lincoln Park campus. The help they required there was more than just serving food to those in need, but also packing and preparing hygiene kits. Volunteer Monique Petty Ashmead is a sophomore at DePaul.
I've always heard about the soup kitchen, I always heard about volunteering there, but I've never actually been inside enough to see what's going on. So I think to just be in the space and to actually help people and just do, I love community service personally, so anything that I can do to help in any way always just makes me a little happy.
For the first time in 2 years, the DePaul community was able to come together in person on Vincentian Service Day to make a difference and give back to the community. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Emily Reilly.